next address is by the High Commissioner, His Excellency the High Commissioner for Sri Lanka in the UK, Dr. Nonis. Now, to us Sri Lankans, Dr. Nonis does not need an introduction. His erudition and his eloquence are very well recognized. He's a unique personality in a sense, being a medical practitioner, a business magnate, and a diplomat all rolled into one. And he excels in each of these fields. The Sri Lankan High Commission has always had a very close and cordial ties with the London Buddhist Vihara, and each successive High Commissioner has made it a point to consolidate these ties further. Since his appointment in 2011, Dr. Nonis has worked tirelessly to portray the correct image of Sri Lanka in the face of false and adverse propaganda. And he has been able to win the hearts and minds of many British parliamentarians through his clear and succinct presentations. Having long been involved with the Royal Commonwealth Society and the Ramphal Centre for Commonwealth Policy, Dr. Nonis was ideally placed to play a vital role in the organization of last November's Commonwealth Heads of State Government meeting in Sri Lanka. In the face of serious opposition, Dr. Nonis was able to persuade His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, and the Right Honourable Prime Minister to visit Sri Lanka for the Heads of Government meeting, which many saw as a true diplomatic triumph. Dr. Nonis.
Venerable Bogadasila Vimala Nayakathero, Venerable Kalaya Piyadasi Nayakathero, Venerable Bellan Villa Vimalaratna Nayakathero, Venerable Mahasangha, Reverend Fathers, members of the different faiths, representatives of Westminster Abbey and Cathedral, Right Worshipful Mayoress of Hammersmith and Fulham, Member of Parliament, Mary MacLeod, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure, in fact it's a deep privilege, to have been asked to say a few words here today. Today we celebrate the 150th birth anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala. He played a pivotal role in the revival of Buddhism in Sri Lanka and India, and indeed throughout the world. I had the great privilege of being asked to open this wonderful exhibition at the London Buddhist Vihara the other day, which depicted his really tremendous life and work. He founded the Mahabodhi Society. He was also enormously involved with the Buddhist Theosophical Society. We also heard at that exhibition the wonderful manner in which he restored Buddha Gaya in India, and the manner in which he protected so many Buddhist sacred sites in Sri Lanka and India. Throughout his work, he also worked closely with Colonel Olcott, with Madame Blavatsky, his benefactress Mary Foster, Christmas Humphreys, and so many others, through which he could spread the word of education throughout the world. And he was quite remarkable in being such a leader, in being able to lecture throughout so many continents in those days, which was an enormous challenge and a tremendous achievement on his part. He also founded the London Buddhist Vihara in 1926, and I think it moved to its current premises in Chiswick in 1994. And as you know, in Sri Lanka, we've had a bitter conflict with the terrorists, but we achieved peace in the country under the leadership of His Excellency, President Mahinda Rajapaksa. And we're building a truly pluralistic and inclusive society in Sri Lanka. We're firmly embarked on a very comprehensive reconciliation, rehabilitation, reconstruction program. But as we move forward, the key to that is not only the people of Sri Lanka, but also the unity amongst all the people, such as yourselves in the diaspora. And in that context, it has been wonderful during my 3 years to see the tremendous work carried out by the Venerable Mahasangha here in Britain to bring the communities together. And as His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa said in his message of felicitation to Venerable Bogadasila Vimalathero, he commended tremendously the work carried out in this regard. I, on a personal basis, must enormously commend and applaud the tremendous support I, as High Commissioner, have personally had, as well as the High Commissioner, from the London Buddhist Vihara. And I think it's a tremendous and fitting tribute that today you have organized this wonderful event to celebrate the life of a great person who led the Buddhist revival throughout the world. And on a personal note, I must take this opportunity really to congratulate Venerable Bogadasila Vimalathero. Throughout the last few years, whenever I have represented His Excellency the President and my country in many major events in England, Venerable Bogadasila Vimalathero has always been there as a wonderful representative of the Buddhist community, whether it is at Westminster Abbey, whether it is Buckingham Palace, and whether it is in Parliament. And that has made me proud too, and also gives a tremendous support to all of us who are doing our little work on behalf of our country. And it also really supports us. As I think the previous speaker said, it was a tremendous challenge for the last 3 years. We had such a negative and anachronistic narrative against Sri Lanka, but gradually, as we move forward in the post-conflict era, that narrative is changing. And the tremendous, it was really a wonderful index of confidence in our country that we were able to host the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. It was wonderful to have governments, 53 states coming to Sri Lanka. It was also wonderful to have both Prime Minister Cameron, but also His Highness Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla. They really endeared themselves. Prince Charles and His Royal Highness Prince Charles and the Duchess Camilla really endeared themselves to all aspects of the Sri Lankan community. It also enabled us to strengthen our respective bilateral relationships with so many other countries, but also it enabled the press to come, probably for the first time, to such a large conference and see for themselves the reality of contemporary Sri Lanka and to understand the beauty, the kindness, and the compassion of all of our Sri Lankan people, which is, of course, the great value that our country has. I've always said that we may have many different come from very different backgrounds, but the true wealth of our country is our people, and it is up to all of us to leverage on that diversity, bring together our people to build a better future, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children. So I must really, in that context, once again, applaud the wonderful work that has been carried out in such a calm, compassionate way by Venerable Bogadasila Vimalathero. I have always felt that he is the very personification of equanimity. And I think it is people, venerable leaders such as this, that enable our country to move forward, engaging with the entire world in the post-conflict era. And it gives me great pleasure to be here again at this 150th anniversary. Thank you.